understand that, but by the same token, if there are other plans already in the mix for areas surrounding our church, would you be willing to share that information if you know about it?
It depends on what you mean by a plan. If what you mean by a plan is the city is actually putting together a formal master plan or small area master plan,
right,
by all means, yes. That was, when I was the one who started the York Belvedere Small Area Master Plan process, specifically because communities were complaining to me that Belvedere Square had increased since it was since this area was last looked at. And the city had promised 10 years ago that it would do a planning process to see how we were going to cope with the extra traffic and attendance there, and the city had never done that. So I did that, and I made that open to everyone. If you're talking about a city-based plan, it would be my responsibility to share that. If what you mean by plan is some individual property owner has an idea in their head for what they want to do with their property, that's another matter. That's not a plan, that's their hope. And that's where I would ask you to respect their wishes the same way you would want yours if you were thinking about doing something and you weren't ready to talk about it yet because you're still trying to work it out.
But wouldn't their plan impact on the city's plans?
Well, if what anybody wants to do requires some type of change to what the city already expects here, then yeah, that would have to come to me formally and openly, and it would have to, I'll give you an example. I'm trying to think of a ridiculous example. Let's say the people who own the gas station decided that they're going to sell that gas station to somebody who wants to build a 6-story office building on that spot. They come to me and they say, we're thinking about selling this property to somebody who wants to do this. What would you tell us about that idea? I would say, I think you're going to have to check with zoning, but I'm pretty sure 6 stories is too tall for this neighborhood. I would say that you're going to have to go to all of the community associations that touch this corner. And I would say the sooner you reach out to the public, the easier it's going to be to have them work with you on your plan. They go back. They continue to think, hey, Senator, how are you? They continue to think about it. Do I go running around and telling all the neighborhoods this is going to happen before they decide that is what they want to do? No, they just came to me with an idea, and I'm respecting their wishes. If they come back to me and they say, okay, we've decided we're going to move forward, we're going to sell the property, and these people are going to be coming to you, asking you to put in an ordinance to make the zoning change, then I say, okay, well now I need to hear back from the communities before I make the decision of whether or not I'm going to put in that ordinance. You have a choice. You can go to them or I can go to them. I think it will be better for you if you go to them because they will they would want to hear this from you. If you won't go to them, I'm going to have to go to them.
Let me ask you another question. Are you able now to share with us any development plans that the city may have for areas around the Pleasant Grove Baptist Church?
The city has no development plans for this area. I mean, I guess I can say, if the city has any development plans for this area, they haven't shared them with me either. And we have the small area master plan that we concluded, which, by the way, hasn't even actually still yet been ratified and made part of the city's master plan. We're waiting for Belvedere Improvement Association to finish their chunk of it, and then they give it to the York Road Partnership, and the York Road Partnership makes it part of the Strategic Neighborhood Action Plan for the York Road Corridor, and then it goes to the Planning Commission to be made part of the master plan.
But have any input in that? Getco, are they a part of it?
Getco sits on the York Road Partnership, and frankly, Pleasant Hope, as an individual institution, could be a member of the York Road Partnership. I don't know if they are. I don't know if Pleasant Hope has ever formally and officially joined, but it could. We have individual institutions as members of the York Road Partnership. But the city does not, to the best of my knowledge, have any development plans for up here. Now, in regards to the piece of property next to your church, I will tell everyone what I said that day, which is that because there is more than one entity who has expressed interest in it, the housing department is going to do a formal request for proposals and have an open, transparent process for determining who gets it.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor, who is the other entity that's interested in the property?
Jerry's.
You mean Jerry's?
The Rulos.
Yeah, okay.
At one point, the chains at Zen West and Cafe Zen were also interested, but my understanding is
just Jerry's.
And my understanding is now it's just Jerry's.
So help me understand, when you say an open proposal, request for an open proposal, just what does that entail?
Well, I don't know yet because they haven't come up with the process, but I assume it would be something along the lines of they would put out, here's the property, we are now accepting proposals for people who want the property from us. It may be a straight up ownership thing. They may offer people the choice of renting or buying it from them depending on what they want to use it for. And then they'll ask people to submit.
So it'll be a bid process again, as you're saying?
Submit proposals and by a certain date, and then, excuse me, coffee. Once they get to that date, they'll stop, they'll open all of the proposals, they'll see which one is best, and best is going to probably be in terms of which one makes the most financial sense to the city.
But they don't always use that as a criteria.
They don't always use
that. The many projects I've seen them invest in.
Yeah, and if they should make a decision that is clearly not in the best financial interest of the city, then that is when your elected representatives chime in and say, well, now, why did you do this instead of doing that? And the housing department will have to justify itself. And depending on how well it can justify itself, it may or may not move forward.
So you're saying in the best interest of the city financially?
Well, that is how the land disposition process is supposed to work.
But if we feel that it's not in the best interest of the city otherwise, then do we have an option then of coming in and asking our representatives to
Sure.
speak on our behalf?
I'll throw out a ridiculous example. Let's say you guys offer $100,000 for the piece of property, and the Rugelos offer $200,000 for the property. And the city says, well, $200,000 is better than $100,000, so we're going to take the $200,000 offer. And you say, but we can document another $150,000 of good work that is done to the community because now we'll have this property. And when you add those up, now our bid is really better than their bid. You could try to make that. You could try to make that case.
How do we get that information? Because the last time when we did go through the bid process, we submitted a bid, and then the property was awarded to Jerry's. And we sent in a request asking them what was the award, what was the criteria, how did their bid compare to ours. We never got a response.
And that's because it wasn't a formal RFP process. This time it would be. And so it would have to be open. They would have to, they'd have to open the bids in public.
And it was an open bid process, wasn't it?
Pardon?
I thought it was an open bid process. Anybody could have bid on it before, and we did.
I'll check. Yeah.
Because I think it doesn't the Freedom of Information Act give us access to that kind of
I don't know why you shouldn't have access to the information from what already happened, and I'm happy to look into it.